You and I will remember 2016 as the year conventional wisdom gave way to unconventional outcomes. That certainly applies to the upcoming conventions this summer. Remember when it was thought the Republicans would rip apart the party and clobber each other in Cleveland? Instead, it's the Democrats who remain divided, and their convention in Philadelphia may not feature much brotherly love. Miranda Kahn has more.
JD, in last night's primary results more than likely only intensified that division that you were talking about, with Hillary Clinton clinching Kentucky as Bernie Sanders snagged Oregon. To say there is no love lost between Bernie Sanders supporters and Hillary Clinton supporters may be a vast understatement.
Senator Sanders and his supporters are being unfairly maligned.
He's running a very negative campaign against us.
Like Donald Trump, Sanders, too, is considered an outsider, even though the self-described socialist began his political career in the early 1980s and has been a U.S. Senator to Vermont since 2007. Still, the animosity between Clinton and Sanders has continued to escalate as the race between the two has grown tighter.
Excuse me, I'm talking.
I am so sick of the Sanders campaign lying about this.
Despite Hillary Clinton's superdelegate lead and most assuming she will win the Democratic presidential nomination, Sanders has made it clear he has no intentions of leaving the race just yet.
We are in to the last ballot is cast.
And many Clinton supporters worry the longer Sanders stays in it, the more damage he will do to Hillary's campaign. One possible solution? According to a new Rasmussen report, more than a third of Democrats surveyed want Hillary Clinton to choose Sanders to be her running mate. But if that doesn't come into fruition, there's always Elizabeth Warren. Democrats in that same poll that I mentioned ranked the senior U.S. Senator from Massachusetts as their second choice, JD.
Very interesting. Thanks very much, Miranda. A reminder that you can join our conversation tonight. Here's how you can do it. Call me at 1-877-Newsmax. That's 1-877-639-7629. And our panel, kind enough to stick around, Skyping in from New York, the former Lieutenant Governor of New York State, Betsy McCaughey, and via Skype from Washington, Republican strategist and former senior staff advisor to President George W. Bush, Brad Blakeman. Folks, the phone calls are lining up, some coming in about the disarray among Democrats, and still the whole notion of who Trump might appoint to the high court is attracting a lot of attention. Let's get back to the phones. Go up to Parkman, Maine for Mike. Mike, welcome to Newsmax Prime.
Hi, JD.
Hi,
Hi,
sir.
Betsy. Hi, Brad.
Hi.
Love your show, man.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Thanks.
All my friends watch it. I've been telling them all about it.
Good job, Mike. What's on your mind tonight?
I think they should just leave it to Donald Trump. I'm pretty sure he's going to surround himself with people that'll know who will be best to be seated.
Well, that's what we've heard, Mike. And when you sit down with Trump and you see the team around him and you hear about what he does in business, and Betsy, maybe you've seen this firsthand as a New Yorker. We hear that Trump surrounds himself with outstanding support staff, at least in terms of the business world. Would you say he's done it?
And competence is his middle name. For example, New York City was plagued with a dysfunctional, frequently closed skating rink. Years went by. They couldn't get it fixed. They couldn't afford to get it fixed. Donald Trump stepped in a few months, it became the world-class skating rink. He did it literally in a quarter of the time that anyone predicted it would take. And that's just one example. This is a man who builds buildings under budget, ahead of schedule.
Brad, let me turn to you. Building buildings, certainly impressive. Betsy just chronicled one of the storied developments there in New York, emblematic of can-do activity. But now, building a campaign, for example, today's day in the life of Donald Trump, the list of Supreme Court nominees, the meeting with Kissinger, has he established in the minds of a lot of folks in Washington that he is now acting, quote, presidential?
Yeah, I think he's giving aid and comfort to the fact that now we've moved from a primary to a general election, and he's starting to surround himself with people who are knowledgeable, respected, professional, and this is all good signs. Look, in order to win, JD, and you know this better than anybody, you conducted your own campaign. You can't do it alone. You have to have good, competent people on the ground, grassroots, get out the vote, and the apparatus by which you can win. Donald Trump has done a great job, but now he needs to amass a financing staff, an organizational staff, a get out the vote organization. Staff. Policy staff, absolutely. All the accoutrements of a winner.
And speaking of assembling a staff or perhaps deconstructing one, over on the Democrat side, DNC Chair Debbie Wasserman Schultz once again under fire for what's going on in her party. Here she was responding to Bernie Sanders' complaints about what happened over the weekend in Nevada.
The senator's response was anything but acceptable. It certainly did not condemn his supporters for acting violently or engaging in intimidation tactics, and instead added more fuel to the fire.
Well, so there's Debbie. So much for even-handedness, but we want to be even-handed in the distribution of phone calls, and Gabe is called in on this very subject. Gabe joins us tonight from Milton, West Virginia. Hi, Gabe.
Hello. Hey, appreciate taking my call, JD. Hello, Betsy. Hello, Brad. Thank you all.
Oh.
Thank you, sir.
Hey,
how do you see it with the Democrats? What was it? Something happened in your state that kind of things went from bad to worse?
Well, I think it went from bad to worse when Hillary came down here. I was at the Trump rally in Charleston, and the man that had asked her the question, about the jobs on coal was up there, and when they said that he was there, they asked him to stand up, and when he did, they gave a standing ovation to that man, and it just brought him to tears, because he was showing how he felt and what it was doing to him and the economy and everything, and you could just see it on her face that she was just changing her story. It seemed like when she was sitting there trying to give him an answer of what she was trying to say before about the war on coal, but between her and Bernie, it's just ever since Chicago and the protesters, they're really just doing it to themselves. It seems like they're just making more terror in the Democrats, and it's going to work out good for Trump, I believe.
And in your mind, Gabe, West Virginia will be solid for Donald Trump in the general election.
I really believe that. Yes, the one thing I've always believed about Trump is he will do what he says. When he sets out to do something, he does it, and sometimes he does it a lot better than what he originally planned. So,
all right, Gabe,
we're hoping.
We really appreciate your insights tonight from Milton, West Virginia. Let me go to something else. It's kind of interesting, and Brad and Betsy, we've been around this a long time, where Democrats try to play the victim card, but it's interesting to watch it with each other. Senator Barbara Boxer of California reacted to the treatment she received from Sanders supporters over the weekend in Nevada. She was on CNN this morning. Let's listen to Senator Boxer.
I did fear for my safety, and I fortunately had a lot of security around me. And I did call Bernie a couple of times, and he did phone me back last night, and he was very distressed about it, and it was a very warm conversation. And I told him, he expressed shock that his people would do it.
Well, it's a good thing Bernie didn't call her ma'am. It might have inspired all sorts of bad stuff. But Betsy, this is always the gimmick with the left. There's victimhood.
Oh, yeah, all kinds of victimhood. What I really liked about Gabe's call a minute ago is he put his finger on it. Mrs. Clinton is just constantly talking weasel words. She won't talk straight. And when she was talking to that coal miner, it was the essence of weasel words.
Let me go back to the phones. From Newcastle, Ohio, Jim is on the line to talk some about Democratic disarray and the effect it may have in November. Hi, Jim.
Hi, JD. Good to talk to you.
Great to have you.
I picked up you guys, a few months ago, maybe since the first year, I think, and so I really enjoy listening to Newsmax. Yeah, I'm all for this conflict between the two Democratic candidates. I think it'll help us tremendously. Also, you're just talking here about them playing the game of being the victim, and it sort of tickled me when you had Hillary on there a little earlier, and when they were talking about her mistakes she made. Might have been the last show before you, but anyway, every time the guy would ask her a question, or whoever was the commentator asked her a question, she'd come back at him, and he was trying to trick her, you know, and he wasn't. He was just quoting what she'd said.
And you know, Jim, that is really an observation. Even when she has it good, and there have been articles about the mainstream media ready just to lay down and take a powder for Hillary Clinton, and yet it is in her personality where she has to be distrustful and combative. Excellent insights, Jim, tonight from Newcastle, Ohio, and of course, great insights from our panel, Betsy McCaughey in Washington and Betsy McCaughey in New York, and Brad Blakeman in Washington. And I'm here with you on Newsmax Prime, and we'll have more of your calls as we continue right after this.